All right.
Are we on? Looks like we're on again.
Hey, everybody.
How are you out there?
Have you missed us?
Virtual world. We're starting to integrate back into the real world, which
Exactly.
is very nice.
Not that it ever felt much different for us because we've just been working all along.
Yeah,
but
work. And the vines haven't stopped growing.
And so haven't we.
So, yeah, the vines, interesting. The vines don't know about coronavirus, but they do know about another virus.
They do actually know about a couple of other viruses.
Yes.
And there's one which gives us some hardship here as well.
Yes, a lot of heartache, a lot of heartburn, and a lot of angst during the season and off season. And
but as you will know, some beautiful pictures.
Yes, we have some great pictures for you, and we're going to walk you through a vineyard update of what we're doing. It's a pretty amazing transformation. We're even going to capture this with a
time lapse.
Time lapse. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Time lapse video.
We're already there where we finish each other's sentences.
Building. I know. That's how we go. So we're going to do a time lapse of how we build a vineyard, and so we're going to start with that. So we are replanting one of the original vineyards. Dave House is hanging off over here. He's properly masked up and everything. So this is what, Dave, if you want to come in and just tell us when that vineyard was planted.
Well, this was the first vineyard planted back in 1998, actually. 1998, when I decided that it'd be great to drive through a vineyard to get to my house, and planted vines on either side of my driveway. And on either side happened to be Merlot. Above that is Cabernet Sauvignon. Well below that is Chardonnay. But the problem that we had was that at the time we planted the vineyard, there was no test for a new disease, a new virus called red blotch. And red blotch causes the leaves to turn red and to lose the phosphorus, or the photosynthesis, I should say, just as we need it as the grapes are getting ripe. And we have trouble ripening the grapes. The problem is worse in drought years or difficult years. Maybe not as bad when we get a real great year, but always a problem. And we've been struggling with that as it got worse in the last few years. And we finally called it, and we pulled out the vines. Jonathan was out there with the tractor, pulling the vines out of the ground, and he then did a bunch of dirt work. And today I noticed you're putting amendments into the soil, and we have the baby vines you saw a few weeks ago that are going to get planted here in the next few days. So as you walk in through the walkway and you look to your right, you're going to see a bunch of dirt work going on, and that's where the new vineyard will be, and we've got the vines ready to go. The old ones are out. So Jonathan, you want to tell us about it?
Yeah. So we have some pictures. I think we flashed one up there of the original vineyard. So we're talking about. Let's hold that slide. It's a real technical looking term, but it's the grapevine red blotch associated virus. So we're all tired of coronavirus. So we're going to talk about another one that's been, kind of perplexing us for many, many years. And there's unfortunately with viruses, there's not a cure. We can do things like try to mitigate, mitigate the growing, the process. But so far, the red blotch disease in grapevines, we really can't, other than ripping the vines out, taking them out and replanting with clean vines that have been tested. So all of the new vines that we put in have been gone through. Every vine has gone through a lab testing and is certified clean. This comes out of UC Davis.
They've been self-quarantined and everything,
Yeah. So it's a whole quarantine process. So none of this is really new to us. So what you're all experiencing out there, we've been doing with grapevines for many years. So UC Davis and Cornell actually are credited with the discovery of red blotch in the kind of the mid 90s or so. But this stuff dates back to they actually through historical records, it dates back to the 1940s. There's actually evidence that red blotch was present that long ago. We just didn't know what to call it. probably much like cancer or any other thing that, if we didn't have a name for it, it was just, you died of old age, but
Yeah.
it may have been a tumor. But anyways, let's get back to grapes.
Yeah.
So let's flash back to that first photo of the original vineyard. So that is right up Dave's driveway.
A couple of rows upward would be the vineyard path where you guys been walking through, and that's our block 11, one of our biggest Merlot blocks.
And that was taken in 2011. So as you can see there's some beautiful blue sky, clouds running up there, and then these green green leaves, but there's a lot of red foliage in there. And the yellow is okay; it's what should be happening, but the red is not what I want to see. And surprisingly, some places market this. We'll get into that a little bit later. But if we flip to the next picture, this is what we've done with that same block.
That looks a little bit like a moon landscape. So don't be alarmed. What we see here is the soil looks kind of like whitish because we spread out some limestone, to be exact, dolomite. So we get we get calcium and magnesium. We also iron the pH in the soil with that a little bit. Then there is also a little bit of phosphorus and mostly potassium sulfate. All those are natural minerals which get mined, and we spread them out because they very, very slowly move in the soil. And so if you just put them on top when the roots are already growing down in the soil, it takes forever to get those nutrients down. Whereas if you replant a new block, you have the chance to, actually incorporate it. So we spread those today, and now I'm going to drive with the tractor and turn it in. I think there's the next picture showing me doing exactly that. Yes, so there you can see me.
Kind of a dust cloud.
Kind of a dust cloud. Yeah, I mean, it's dirty work. I'm here for the dirty work. So that's our spader, and the spader very nicely sort of like turns that in without destroying the soil structure. And
so if you notice on that picture, the far left is much kind of browner soil as he's moved through that. I had the fun task of walking behind you to take that picture and breathing your dust, but it was really beautiful, the path that laid and ran that in.
Yeah.
So an interesting term that you used that we wouldn't maybe use here, but dolomites. So the Dolomite range in Italy, very mineral laden. So that's a European.
That
term.
is literally where the term comes from. And even though I bought it here, on the bags it says Dolomite.
And that's
exactly. So limestone can be found in many parts of the world, everywhere where an old former sea, or ocean dried in.
Volcanoes.
You can find limestone formations, but these are mostly calcium carbonate. Whereas in the Dolomites, and I'm sure there's other parts in the world where this can be found too, there's also a fair amount of magnesium in these rocks. And grape vines need both, and magnesium is particularly crucial as it forms sort of like the central ion in the chlorophyll molecule. And so we want to make sure that we have plenty of that.
So you put this down in. Now let's go to a couple of other photos and kind of walk through. This is a close-up shot. So we showed you, the kind of the faraway shot. This shot here really shows the that red coloring in the leaves, the veins. There's no the chlorophyll. There's no grape ripening happening there, and without that chlorophyll, the grapes just sit on the vine. They sit at a particular sugar level. It's usually around 20, 21. Yeah. They hold there, and they just creep, and they may, they typically, a rule of thumb is about a brix or a percent a week. So, if it hits 20, 21, 22, 23, I probably want those at about 24, 24 and a half would be optimum. So once they hit about that 21, I got about 3 weeks to go, and then we'll harvest. But with the red blotch, they don't do that.
Right.
The other problem with that is the pH, which is incredibly important with the wine, just continues to climb, and it just goes off the chart. And we get these really high pH wines. and they're super flabby, and they're actually dangerous to ferment. I mean, when I say dangerous, that's a winemaker term for all the microbes love it when it gets above 4.0. About 3.7 it loves it, but 4.0 it's just a playground for all the microbes, and it's just a train wreck. And by the time these grapes would ripen, they're at 4.1, 4.2. They're a train wreck in the winery. So they're it's a headache for you. It's a headache for me. It's a headache for both of us, really.
Indeed, yeah.
So
also, so nobody gets confused. We've been talking about pH, and so in the soil, I want a high pH, sort of neutral, 6.5, 7, something like that. In the wine, however, we want a very low pH, which means a high acidity. So we have like crispy, refreshing wines, which have a long aging potential and better protection against microorganisms. So it's like two different things. It's just that there's no confusion.
It's a very interesting relationship.
It is,
and
indeed,
and for soil, raising the pH doesn't raise the pH of the wine. It's not. There's not the relationship.
Exactly,
is not quite there. So that's a great point to make.
There are a lot of different dynamics at play.
So I think can we flip to the next picture? It's that's a really up close picture of this, and a lot of people they see these things, and this was not a picture of a maple tree in Vermont.
No, it's not leaf changing
experience
season
in Vermont.
Yeah.
I've seen it. The liquid amber tree, which was actually the guy that developed the liquid amber tree. Little side note, was right here in Saratoga, and so we have a lot of liquid amber trees here in Saratoga. So we do have a lot of fall color, and that's a beautiful fall color. I love it around Thanksgiving time, but I don't like it in a grapevine. When I see that, I just
and so, as a rule of thumb, grapevines, as they mature and get into senescence, so in the leaf changing season, at the end of the fall, they will turn yellow. No matter whether it's white grapes, green grapes, red grapes, they will turn yellow if they're healthy. If they're turning red, there's something wrong with them. There's very, very few exceptions. There's some crazy colorful varieties which actually have pink wood. So if you cut them, the wood will appear pink. That's a little bit of a different story. But usually all the normal grape varieties, as they mature and the leaves get ready to fall, they turn yellow. If they turn red, there's something wrong.
So let's jump back to wine real quick. So what we're going to taste here, we're going to taste a couple library wines, but we're also going to taste a couple of barrel samples of wines, and kind of as we go through this. So what I hope is that all of you out there have a glass of wine. You're tasting something. If you have something, I got Kathy Lambert out there. Shout out to you. Jim House is out there. Hope you're drinking some beautiful House Family Vineyard wine. Let me know what you're drinking. Happy to share notes or what my recollection of those notes are. But we're drinking a 2008 and a 2009 Cabernet. We're also going to taste some of the Chardonnays that we're going to bottle here very quickly in the next couple of months, and the Cabernets, the Estate Reserve, the Vintners Reserve, and the Estate Cabernet. We're going to taste both of those, which are going to go into bottles. So this is going to be one of the last times that we're going to do a tasting of these wines before they actually go into bottle, get in the cellar, and go away for a while. So it's kind of a very precious time for us. And then we're going to come back to this. As I was tasting the Estate Cabernet, the 2018, it really reminded me of the 09 Cabernet, and kind of in that. So that's why I brought that out to kind of showcase that. And then the 08, I'm not sure quite why I picked it, but it may have been that the past week was Father's Day, and so shout out to all the dads out there. 08 was the year I lost my dad, and so thank you to all the dads that taught us how to do all the things we maybe know how to do today, all the guidance, all the pickups, all the encouraging words. So shout out to the dads, and hope you're all having a great glass of wine, or surrounded by your kids and family. So we do have some food. We're going to do a surf and turf. We've got a white wine and a red wine. Doing a little shrimp here. It's cooking there. Going to do a little skirt steak. Jonathan's brought
I brought some odd things from my, the home country.
I'm super excited about this. Some herring, some young herring.
Exactly, which is sort of like, it's getting into, I mean, here it doesn't really, I can't get it fresh, but this is about the time of the year where it gets into season back in Europe. And there's, in the areas where that is a thing, there's like a big run on that. And so I brought some. I find some in a Russian grocery store in San Francisco, so I brought some of that, and I made also another dish with it, which my grandmother sometimes makes. It's like a herring salad, if you will. And then I also am going to make some Alsatian pizzas. Flammkuchen is the German term, so flamed cake. It's like a pizza, and you bake it really hot and quickly. But it's there's no tomatoes, and it's just good stuff like bacon and onions and sour cream. So we're gonna make those things.
That'll be awesome.
I have to grab a couple of more little pieces of wood, but I'll be with you in a second.
Jonathan's gonna grab a couple of more oak barrel staves. So let's jump back to the pictures real quick, and I'll kind of talk about those as we go through. So the next shot, I think we left off. So now I'm going to get into the artwork of this. So this is a picture that I took, and people would look at that and say, "Oh, what a beautiful picture! You got these, all these colors going, this ripe grapes. That yellow leaf right front and center is what I want to see. The red grape, the red leaves in the back, not what I really want to see." And so this is more of an artsy photo, and I think we have a few marketing photos that are in there that that people have done. So you take this like barrel with all these red leaves and this golden light. The red leaves are horrible to me. As a marketer, they really didn't know. It's not some Vermont picture. And there's I think we have a few more. This is a vineyard in Tuscany, blazing red. This thing is going to produce I don't know, but I can only speculate. But pretty horrible wine with the amount of red that they have in there. That thing is stricken with disease, and it shouldn't be that color. Here's a beautiful shot, castle. This is in Tempranillo in Spain, so a beautiful growing region. You got this river running down there, the castle off to the left, and just these blazing red vineyards that shouldn't be that color. So these are marketing photos that people will use as wine glass with that. When I see that in marketing, it just makes me cringe, and it kind of drives me crazy. So what it really gets back to is the human palate. Because it's no secret that the human palate loves sugar. And as the grapes ripen, the grapes get sweeter. So what do we use to test? We go out in the vineyards, in the fall, and starting in August, we start testing them and walking out. So here we have our vineyard tester right there. She's about not even 2 years old. That's I was hoping to get her out here to show you, but that's my daughter Emily. And she's reaching up to, grab some grapes. I'm out testing the vineyard. She's with me, and we're walking through, and she's picking a grape, and she's going to eat it and, give me her reaction. This vineyard wasn't quite ready, and, her face kind of tells the story that it's like, yeah, it's not as sweet as I thought it would be. As a human being, she's going to reach up and find that just really beautiful, the plumpest one. Yeah. She had no coaching whatsoever. Well, maybe she did, but no coaching whatsoever.
Runs a little bit in the family, I think.
But she didn't particularly care for that grape. It wasn't quite ready, and you can see that this is the vineyard that we just tore out. Yeah. This is 2011. You can see that just off to her right is a little bit of that redness of those grapes, and so it's struggling to get ripe, and so we're moving through that, but.
By the way, the birds will do the same thing. They'll really find the ripest grapes. So I can always watch them, and when they start picking, I know it's time that we start picking.
It's getting close.
Exactly. However, we've been also saying a lot of negative things about virus, and they're really not good. But there's some funny stories back from Germany where we grow a lot of Riesling. And there were some areas which were known for Rieslings being very, very flavorful, very intense, and then obviously people got interested, and they tried to look at these vines and try to make clones of them and propagate them, cuttings and propagate them. But whenever they would plant them somewhere else, it did not quite work out that well, and so it turned out there's those vines where they grow, the berries were very, very small, and that's usually a very good thing in viticulture because most of the color in red grapes and most of the aroma precursors are situated in the skin. And so if you have very tiny berries, with a lot of skin, you have a lot of these aroma compounds in there. And so tiny berries are good. And so these Rieslings in these regions had very, very small berries. But then when they took cuttings and grew them somewhere else, the berries were like normal Riesling everywhere else, big berries, or normal berries. And so it turns out many of these vines had a virus, which didn't really do much damage to the vines, but it sort of slowed down water uptake. And so in the crucial part of the berry development where sort of like cell division happens and the size of the berry is determined, there was just always a little bit of water deficiency. And so those berries were always very small, but in the end they got ripe. Also, Riesling does not have to have like crazy amounts of sugar like here. We're going more for like the 11.5% of volume. And so the virus in those vines created actually really good wine.
So yeah, it would be it's going to create the concentration of flavors.
Right.
You're picking them, earlier, so you get that really high acidity.
Yeah.
These things are going to last a crazy long time.
Right.
With really concentrated flavor, so it's going to make a beautiful wine. Yeah. So in that sense, I think the virus could help.
Yeah. So if the red blotch takes over, we just grow Riesling and be fine.
Well, tell you what, you can take all the red blotch. Take it across the pond, and it's all good.
They're gonna tar and feather me.
It's all right. I'd give you a prize. Let's get through some of these wines. So we have a new wine, a new vineyard that we're working with. It's Bargetto. So shout out to John Bargetto, Bargetto family, longtime grower in the Santa Cruz Mountains. So I did a Chardonnay from them. Also, we're doing a sparkling program. So that's that'll be coming in a bit. So. This is it's grown in the Corralitos region, very very cold compared to our side of the valley, to a much colder climate wine. This will be in our lineup probably in about a year and a half, 2 years, by the time it gets out. So much leaner, not as big a fruit on there, but maybe a little more kind of mineral core in there. Yeah, acidity is very nice in it, but it has nice fruit. Cheers. I hope you're all enjoying a glass of wine out there. I hope we're not the only ones out here drinking.
Well, as long as I have something in my glass, I'm happy. But yeah,
but
I have something too.
I like them to be sharing too. So shout out. Let us know what you're drinking.
Exactly. Yeah, very nice mineralic. A little bit of a smokiness. The oak is still, a little bit sits in the foreground. But
yeah, I tried to, this wine has been, each of these, I tried to do as close a blend as possible, grabbing neutral barrels and, the oak barrels. So it's,
but it obviously takes, in this stage, it takes a little bit until.
It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But it'll be nice. It'll be kind of a, this was kind of a more warmer weather, style.
Yeah.
Kind of lighter style. Gets.
Yeah.
There, nice Chardonnay. Dave, you want to try some?
Sure. Thank you, Jim.
Got our socially distant pour. So speaking of socially distant, we are open. We've been open 3 weeks. It's been really nice. We are open. Mostly we're focusing on members. If there are some reservations left, we are allowing some public reservations, but it's reservation only. You can go to our website, www.housefamilyvineyards.com. I'm sure you can all figure that out, or Google that. There is a secondary way to make a reservation through Talk. It shows you the times, kind of like making a restaurant reservation for a table. It's all set up there. And it's actually been really lovely, very controlled. People kind of coming out, and people are really enjoying it. We're still enjoying some very clear weather out here. I hope this lasts for a long time, and if COVID does something for us, it's going to help the the whole green footprint
Nothing
of the
else
planet.
than that. Yeah.
So,
By the way, you guys don't have to be afraid of the red blotch virus. It doesn't jump species. So,
I don't think
is that a red blotch?
no.
Gonna pull you out and replant you.
Yeah. So my
no.
wife would say, she'd just throw me out of.
So yeah, no
yeah,
risk there.
It's
don't
not
worry.
contagious. It's
Yeah.
not in the wine. So, yeah, very very good point.
Yeah, exactly. Just wanted
That's
to make
all
that
the scares on
clear.
viruses. So now we're going to jump to the Estate Chardonnay, which is a very very different wine. This comes right from our estate, and this is done, with some more special barrels. Use some, very forest specific barrels that I've worked with in the past. Much richer style of wine, more Montrachet style. It's got some deeper kind of muskier notes on there. Definite Chardonnay. I mean, both of them you can taste it. Taste the variety, on there, but just a deeper texture.
Much deeper. Right now I get a lot of maracuja actually. But these young wines, that's also the interesting part. It's they're ever changing. There's still a lot of development happening, and so they're every time a little bit different. And then so they over time, then they slowly sort of like find their way in life, if you will.
They do, and some interesting things. I can remember a couple of times, and it kind of makes me laugh. I remember one time we had just bottled our. I don't remember what year it was. It may have been the 08, 09 or something like that. Bottled the Chardonnay. We were super excited to pull it out. We pulled it out about 3 months later. We tasted it, and I remember. I think Jim House was with us. Dave was with us. We all tasted it. We were so excited to taste this thing, and nobody wanted to say anything. We're just like everybody nobody
went silent, right?
Because we didn't want to say it. It was like the wine had shut down. It was in bottle shock, which
is a common phenomenon.
It's a strange phenomenon. I can say it exists. I can't tell you the science behind it. Nobody can really tell you the science behind it, to date. But I can tell you that bottles, after you put them into bottle, they get kind of wonky. They get kind of caged up, maybe like an animal. They shut down. And this thing had no flavor, and we thought, holy cow, this thing is horrible. What are we going to do? Yeah, exactly. What are we going to do with it? So we got a lot of it. It's the only wine we have. And then about, 6 months later, we took it out and tasted it, and it had blossomed, and it was like, the sky had opened up, and the storm had cleared, and things were going to be okay. And, and it stayed in bottle another year or so. But that's why wine is a long process. It is. Yeah. You just really got to let it develop and kind of work through its things. It's kind of like a child, Yeah. They can be sassy, they can be awkward, they can be beautiful, they can make you cry, they can make you want to strangle them. But eventually,
the guys has 4 children. So
I haven't strangled any of them. I'm trying to get my kids to come out here. So, but anyway, so I mean, they're it's really a development over time. So
I see somebody says I'm not sure. Does it mean we need more estate Chardonnay? I'm not in favor of that because climate change is just happening and it's just getting way too hot here for just about any white wine.
I would agree with you, and there's fortunately I have some tools in my toolbox that I can use. That I mean, I love Chardonnay. I love growing it. It's a beautiful wine, but there may come a day where we say, you know what, the best thing we can do is plant
Cabernet or
Cabernet
Malbec or God knows,
yeah.
Or another white variety better suited for hot climate. But I don't think we're going to increase the Chardonnay here anytime soon.
So it's a rare commodity. Enjoy it while we have it, and while we ride this. But speaking of Chardonnay, so now I have the Vintners Reserve. So now I'm going to get a little bit older on you. So the Vintners Reserve, what I do with this is 2018. So when we take all the 18 wines out of the barrel, I keep all the lees, which is all of the kind of the dead yeast cells, everything that's kind of settled the bottom of the barrels, and it's kind of cloudy mixture. It's I love the smell of it. I love the taste of it. I have a buddy of mine that wanted to use this to kind of get it concentrated and spread it on toast like Vegemite, and it can actually be really good. I think it's a viable model, but that's in my next business model. But anyway, so I take all that lees, we collect it all, and I keep a portion of the Chardonnay, put it in a stainless tank with all those lees, and you think, why do you want to do that? It's going to cloud this wine all up, and kind of dirty it up. But what it does is, it's autolysis. It's basically it's going to go through a process over that year where those yeast cells are going to reabsorb, basically eat all that up.
Well, they
clarify that out.
Exactly. The autolysis is, the yeast cells basically start digesting themselves and breaking down, dying, decomposing, and dead bodies in wine might not be a great idea, but in yeast, they release a lot of components from the cells, which add a lot to the mouthfeel. You get these like round creaminess, and they also at the same time absorb. They keep wine very fresh. Actually, the wine will last longer. So it's a common technique called batonnage,
Is that length of time where you're aging the wine?
Yeah, and sometimes you will even stir that yeast so it actually stays in suspension and has like a really, really intense contact with the wine. And so that's what we're doing for the Vintage Reserve.
So and it has some really great notes. I mean, very different from the actual estate Chardonnay. Much richer texture. So it's it's that kind of grand dame. It's just it's very very nice. Rich rich flavor on that. So it's fun to produce all the different
nuances of
nuanced styles, and then to be able to put those together in one tasting. So that's a fun thing about wine. All right.
So
let's jump to the reds. We're gonna so we've got we're gonna go back to stay on 18, and I've got these might have gotten a little bit cool. I didn't want them to get too hot out here. So I've got the estate cab. Pour a little for Dave out here. So we blended this. So this is a blend of all the grapes on the property. So the Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Cabernet Franc. I think I got them all. The four varieties.
Yeah, should be right.
Four Bordeaux. Yeah. That I mentioned four. So, so this is the estate, and sorry, I left it. I didn't want to get too warm. Well, it's not a cooker out here. I mean, the last couple of these tastes that we've done has been a cooker. This is a beautiful day, and these are the days that the grapes really love. These kind of mid 80-degree days.
He can say that because he was in a cellar getting, the climatized cellar getting those barrel samples.
Okay.
Out in the field, it was pretty hot today.
Okay, I took the picture of eating his dust out there in that, and then I went to the cellar, but he stayed on the tractor.
Cooling down. Exactly. Anyway.
Yeah, I was in the cellar for all of about 20 minutes, unfortunately. But yes, that is one of the benefits of winemaking. On a really hot day, I decided to do a lot of cellar work, so it's it's kind of a nice place to go.
All of a sudden, the topping of those barrels takes forever. No, I'm just kidding. He's very fast and swift with that.
But this has got a really, to me, it's got some fruit that jumps out of it, but it's got a Bordelaise. It's got a nice core, a very textured core. What do you taste?
This is going to be great. It's young yet. It's not quite to the point where you don't want to drink it. It needs to have some bottle aging in it. But the fullness of this and the roundness of it, the richness of it this is going to turn out to be a great blend.
Yeah, I'm liking that. It's got good balance. Tannins, kind of tannins are there.
They'll recede.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean, but
but you also want some.
I mean,
it's just like
what that. I mean, at this point, if it didn't have those tannins,
we'd be in trouble.
We'd be in trouble. It'd be like, okay, this is a drink now. Wine, throw it in a box and get it out there. But it's not even close to there. But yeah, I mean, it is a young wine, and that's a lot of what we do. last week I was at one of the barrel coopers here, and and those are some of the best people. Dan Saw he's probably not on, but shout out to him. He's back, kind of back in the area. Kavan Barrel Rep, great guys to taste wine with, because all they do is taste young wines, and we tasted the same body of wine in 10 different barrels and dissected every single barrel. And that's what really teaches you to taste wine. It's it's not like tasting 4 different bottles that somebody brought in for a party.
Yeah.
It's tasting the same body of wine in 10 different barrels and dissecting that, and
Amazing how different
which
they are.
barrel works the best. Taking notes and saying, yeah, this plays well with that wine. So I'm going to gravitate more towards those next year, and and on. So yeah, that's good.
Tim Phillips is asking whether wonky is a wine term. Wine term. I would say
Absolutely.
wonky is a gym term. He uses it quite a bit. Was kind of new to me when I got here, when I started working here, but he makes it a wine term.
So wonky is it's just something that it's awkward. It's like a teenage boy that's got
The
legs.
arms have grown out, but
Yeah.
the rest not
Just,
yet.
it's
So
just
kind
not
of
working.
wonky.
So, Tim, thank you for asking that and clarifying my wine term. So that's there. So we have the Vintners Reserve, and so what we do with the Vintners Reserve is we kind of call out some barrels. Typically, it's barrels, but also blocks. So block 10, which most everybody walks through when they come in. It's our oldest block, and that one, I try not to be prejudiced with it, and we taste them all blind. But that one really produces some deep, intense flavors, and it typically always ends up as one of these wines that just, it's a block that just, it's a standout block. And then there'll be some other blocks that kind of come up as showcasers and surprises. And so the Vintners Reserve is kind of dialed in to be that, I want to say it's a definite crowd pleaser. It's something that will excite a lot of palates, kind of cross a lot of palates, where the estate is maybe more the kind of serious connoisseur wine. I mean, both wines are standout on their own, but this one, maybe has kind of a little more flash and fanfare. So on that, definitely more fruit forward. Kind of jumps out. Dave, you've been tasting it. What are you tasting on this?
I would agree. This definitely has more fruit to it. It's fuller. Obviously earns its title as a premium wine.
I'm getting a lot of like the plum prune, dried prunes. That's what I get very strongly here. And what you were saying about Block 10, where which is kind of like always staring in our vintage reserves. It's our oldest block, and the same thing, which is true for young vines. They have these ups and downs until they sort of like find their way. Also for vineyards, when we plant them, and then maybe the first harvest, however small, might be very interesting, and then there's a lot of ups and downs. The root system is very small, so they get very, very strongly affected by every change of weather each year. And so there's like a lot of sort of like extremes between the vintages. But as they get older, the root system obviously grows, and the root system acts kind of like a buffer. So if there's a dry spell, they have a lot of water there, they have more access to water. If there is, if they need more nutrients, they kind of store these in the roots, pull them out. And so that tends to even out, and so they get better established. And so this block is certainly in its prime. I do have, since we did all that dirt work there, it's the adjacent block, I think the soil is different up there too. Different from the other vineyards, and that may be an additional reason why this block is different. It's quite interesting. I found a lot of sand and pebbles, which we don't have. We have this like very nice and rich clay in most of the other vineyards, which stores a lot of water and a lot of nutrients, which is obviously very interesting and good, but and it's a good deal down. Also a point, right? It will take the roots a while to reach that part, but there's definitely a different soil structure, at least in part of that vineyard, and I think that
So
could be something.
I'm thinking that maybe, I mean, that is literally the highest vineyard that we have.
Yeah.
And so, as it rains over, hundreds of thousands of years, all of that, the fine silt is going
Has
to
been
wash
washed
down,
away, yeah.
which is going to make the clay that's down below and leave that kind of rockier soil.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I taste Block 10, it's
But you'll remember, Jim, Block 10 wasn't always our best block. It has been 4 out of 5 years the best block. But we've had Block 2 and Block 4.
You're right.
At certain years, it is the best block.
Right.
But for the last probably 4 years, I would say Block 10 is really starting to show.
Yeah. So I mean, which is a great case in point that we're now, our vineyards, Dave, are into their, I mean, they're endurance athletes. I always talk about endurance athletes. These things are, they're in their prime and they're really moving. They're performing, and I'll tell you, Jonathan, I just have to shout out to you. The vineyards have never looked better. And, So they're stunning. As I walk through the vineyards and I look through pictures and I get, kind of gathered these pictures here. I looked through and I saw the weak spots, and I mean, in the wines, I'm tasting these things and I only see the flaws. And so I look at these and I can see the flaws, but I don't see really a lot of flaws. I mean, they're beautiful, and so what we're doing today, is just fantastic. And when I look out over these things, very even. So here is what we're striving for. Is as you
Where's
look
that picture from? That's not us, is it?
That's block 1.
Is it?
That's block 1. Come on,
Yeah.
right there.
Right below the tasting room.
That screen
That
is
oak tree.
that screen is
Yeah.
very small. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right, that's block 1. So this is in the fall, but I mean, this is the grapes are ripening. That's what we're striving for. As you see the lack of red leaves, the really healthy vines, the vine rows that are it's beautiful, and so that's what we have today, and all that's going to do, I'm the winemaker, but we always say the wine is made in the vineyard, and I babysit it until it gets to your glass.
Right.
So.
Right. But I mean, we're similar people, and so you're in the cellar and you're doing the barrel tastings and you're seeing all that flaws. Trust me, I feel exactly the same way if I were walk down any of these wine rows and I see a plant and think, damn it.
You see the flaws.
I see the flaws. Yeah, I just was up in block 10 and I saw something. And damn it! But I'm sorry, I should not. But yeah, so there's things, but they. That's why I'm here, So I'm trying so that these flaws then do not get your flaws. You have your own then down in the cellar, but different story.
I have flaws in the cellar.
The wines get flaws you have to deal with.
Okay, what happens in the cellar stays in the cellar. It's kind of like Vegas. We had a code here. All right, let's do a little retrospective here.
All
so
right, okay.
I'm gonna do a quick. Oh, we have clean glasses. Look at that. Ha. We didn't even have to wash dishes midstream.
Not like barbarians.
We're not even like. So we're gonna jump back to this beautiful 2008 Chardonnay. So it's warmed up a little. It was in the. Sorry, I should have poured you first. That was rude.
That's right.
So this was a little
Rinse my glass.
I'll let you rinse. So this is a 2008 Chardonnay. So it's a beautiful year. Kind of funny story on. I don't know if it was quite this year, but we were super excited when we first opened up to get these wines going, and we sold out of our first vintage in about 3 months, and we said, well, let's break out the second vintage, and we sold that out in another 2 months, and then we kind of sat back after 5 months and go, this is not a good business model. We need more grapes. So
indeed
that was fun. So those were fun days. So I was going through the pictures. I found some fun pictures before the tasting room was built. Kind of in the early spots of what we were doing. Not getting too warm, is it? Maybe not. Give it a moment to give it a little chill. So So the the color on this, I don't know if if you kind of it's I'm gonna kind of put these up. It's
like this.
Yeah, sure.
Like a spray.
I don't know. Probably kind of hard to see with all that sunlight, but it's it's a little more amber in color, and that's what I would expect with a an aged Chardonnay, 12 years old. Really nice notes. The fruit has started to fade, but kind of some of the more like caramel, burnt sugar characters are coming through there. There's also what I get, and I always use this term very cautiously because people don't often get it, but this kind of petrol petrol characteristic.
Well, you're talking to German here, so
well, I mean, you get it, and I love it, but it's it's this kind of deep, deep earthy.
It's a very
it's beautiful
subtle,
smell.
not necessarily subtle, but it's very difficult to grasp and to describe. It is often found in Rieslings. That's why I say
Rieslings.
German,
I mean, you smell it easily.
It's typically in old Rieslings. It can be a problem in young Rieslings, and the petrol taste, smell sometimes reminds people a little bit of like some kind of fuel. It doesn't really smell like petrol or gasoline or diesel. I always joke, and when customers ask me about it, say like, well, it was a big harvest. We emptied the diesel tank and put wine in it, and that come from. But it seems to be built from origin to origin from certain color molecules you also get in white wines, carotenoids, but it's not well understood. But
no,
there's kind of like you can divide the population, and people who like it and people who don't.
Yep.
We like it.
Maybe like cilantro,
Maybe like cilantro, indeed. Yeah, might be.
So
I get that here too.
Yeah.
I get also a little bit of beeswax, So like
definitely.
Yeah, and so that's really beautiful.
Definitely, there's some like clover honeys and some
Yeah.
different layers of honeys that would come in there.
Exactly.
Dry grasses, that would be in
like
there.
hay. Yeah,
kind of hay. That summertime. That summertime smell that you'll get. Kind of pops out. Really nice though.
Yeah. So
There you
I'm
go.
going to start to make a little bit
So-
of food.
All right, so Jonathan's going to describe to you this beautiful young herring with the pancreas left in that's marinated, and I'm super excited to try this.
All right.
I'm going to run to the kitchen, grab the flank steaks and a couple skewers of shrimp to do a surf and turf, and then we'll taste our last wine, which is our 2009 Cabernet, which reminds me a lot of the 2018 Cabernet, kind of 9 years different. So, Jonathan, take it away. I'm gonna run to the kitchen.
Thank you. Yeah. So as I already said, it's a fish product. It's a herring. It's called Matjes, which is a specific type of herring. I believe it is the term Matjes is used for like I think like 2-year-old herrings or something like that. What they do is when they prepare it, I'm going to open the package so you can see what's going on there. Preparing fish. So obviously, they gut it. They take the gills out and the heads off and stuff. They take the bones out. But if you get it fresh and traditionally, what you will get is, you're aware each fish will yield 2 fillets. And so when you buy them fresh, they will actually be still attached to each other with a tail fin. And so the tail fin will still be on. And so you have the whole fish like that. And what they do during the process is they gut it, but they leave the pancreas gland in there. And the pancreas, is an enzyme gland for food digestion. We have it too. It serves the same purpose. But as they leave it in here, and then they put it in barrels with light salt brine, this pancreas releases those very enzymes and starts to digest basically itself, or the fish rather. And so these have not been cooked or smoked or anything. They've just been brined, and these enzymes from the pancreas have sort of like, it's a little bit like ceviche, where
ceviche would kind of be the American version.
Exactly,
of that,
where
so
the
acid.
acid cooks
Yeah.
or cooks the proteins. Here, it's the the enzymes from the pancreas, and it creates this like very soft texture with this very mild flavor. And so, there are many ways of eating it. We often had it with just like boiled potatoes at home, and they get into season about now in the year. And so I'm really excited about this. Where did we put all the knives? We had some little here. Yep. So one way of eating this. Oh, look at that! The living cow.
So little shout out to Juan Pablo, Argentinian flank steak. You know, just a little lemon, salt, pepper. Got to add my garlic oil.
Okay. So I found some really nice dark rye bread. So I'm just going to put a little bit of butter on it, mostly to just seal it a little bit, because these are then stored in oil, and so otherwise it sort of like rips through. And so the way we often eat that is just, you put that on the bread, top it with a little bit of onion, fresh onion. We don't really have this distinction between like regular onions and sweet onions in Germany. So I bought sweet onions and tasted them.
Do you have both of those onions? Like a yellow onion and a red onion?
Yeah, we do have those, but I never. So today or yesterday I bought a sweet onion to sort of like do some culinary research here, and I tasted it and I said, this tastes kind of boring. Or
was it like a Vidalia onion?
Yes, I think so. And it was just like very light and mild in flavor, and I kind of like the stronger onion flavor. So these are not sweet onions; these are just like regular yellow onions. And so this is one way of eating it. If you go to Hamburg to the fish market, a traditional snack is a Fischbrötchen, a fish bread roll. And you'll get this on a white wheat bread roll with this and onions on it, and it's really really good. But it's fishy, so
I'm gonna smell it, and I'm gonna pair the wine.
Okay.
All right.
What do you think?
I'm gonna go with the high acid Bargetto.
Okay.
Because it's
probably right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's now.
I mean, it is a northern product, so typically it's rather beer, but I think the Bargetto is probably a good match for that.
All right. So we're gonna give this a try.
Yep.
See if that works. Dave, you want to jump in and grab one?
Bet.
Dave's always game for
anything.
So that's kind of like European sushi, if you will.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Try that. So, got the flank steak cooking. I'm going to drop a couple of skewers in.
So that's just like summer taste to me, as odd as it may sound. Oh, it's so good. So, and then you can use this pickled or herring. It's not pickled herring; it's just fermented herring to make other dishes. So this is a recipe from my grandmother, where she basically chops up the herring, or the matias rather, which is this fermented herring, and then also chops up apples and pickles and onion, and mixes it all with sour cream and pepper, some salt. You can throw some dill in there if you like, or whatever, and turns it into this salad. And then you can do the same thing. You can have it with like boiled potatoes, or you can spread it on bread, and it's just something from home. And every now and then, don't tell anybody. It's not so much the people I'm missing; it's the food. But since we're here in San Francisco, the Bay Area, and there's so much ethnic food, I basically found a source for all the things I'm missing, with very very few exceptions. And bread, by now I can bake myself, so I'm good for now, and so that's good.
Well, that is fantastic. I think the fish component. I mean, definite salt. I'm loving the acid in the in the wine. This one, with the creaminess, I'm going to go with the estate Chardonnay. I'm going to just the regular estate Chardonnay. Regular. It's not regular whatsoever. Beautiful wine, but it with the fat,
It is milder, fat, so you're right.
The creaminess of that, it doesn't need that kind of vibrancy to push through that.
Yeah.
But that other one, the salt and the acid in there, you got basically base acid, beautiful pairing. Wonderful job of pairing.
Right. So for something completely different, I have one more thing I want to show you or share with you guys.
And he's going to make me clear out of my oven.
Alsatian pizza.
Remember? These pizzas are awesome. I've had these before. They're phenomenal. My steaks are almost done. He's going to dress these up.
Yeah.
Put those in.
These pizza crusts are still our own, but we just sort of pre-baked them slightly, which just makes it a little bit easier here on the program. Sound like a TV show, right? Kind of cool.
Kind of is.
Kind of is, I guess, yeah. So, as our pizza crust, as you know it from the tasting room, and being Alsatian or Southwestern German and not Italian, no tomato sauce, but sour cream. I'm spreading sour cream on them. And traditionally, these guys were made when you bake bread in wood-fired ovens like this, and right after the firing was done, the oven was still way too hot to bake a loaf of bread. Jim knows that problem. Sometimes, his loaves get a little bit too dark here. And
that is a beautiful loaf. Look at that thing.
Yeah, it turned out really nicely.
Come on.
So what they would do, they would just grab a handful of the bread dough, flatten it out, and then do this. So this is bacon. I just rendered it a little bit. Back home, I would use speck, which I would not have to render, but the bacon has to get cooked first. And so there's some bacon, again, some onion, and you can use sweet onion and yellow onion, and you could use red onion, whatever you like. So I throw that on. Some fresh pepper. I'm a big pepper guy. Recently, somebody complained to me there was too much pepper. So
there's never too much pepper.
Right.
Spice.
Exactly.
All right, we're ready to throw that in.
So we're ready to throw that in. Behind the scenes, we're getting told that we're way over time. But
we got to drink one more wine.
We got to drink one more wine. So the other thing I'm going to make for you is sort of is another Alsatian pizza, which is more of a dessert. And so I have some wonderful blue cheese here, very, very ripe. And I'm just going to cut this up and throw some rough pieces on there. And then some thin slices of that pear, which we're going to throw on too. Exactly. So just put those on.
The walnuts.
A little bit of walnuts. Just like that. And then
be fantastic.
Just a little bit of honey drizzled over everything. So it's kind of like sweet savory thing, which is just my thing. And
that and the Vintner's Reserve. Put a fork in me, I'm done. So let's give stick that in the oven. I've got the shrimp skewers are coming out. The flank steak's coming out. Got the bread done. We've got a feast in front of us. The last wine we're going to try is a 2009 Cabernet. So definitely a library wine. Reminded me a lot of the 2018, which we're about to bottle. it just kind of in my recollection of where this wine will go. This definitely the fruits faded in there, getting those kind of classic baking spice, leather, I won't say bomber jacket, but leather armchair. Just really good earthy tones.
Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of leatheriness there, but it's really just like this like wonderful ripe leather mushroom in a good way. It's like dry. Sometimes like certain dried mushrooms have that. It's this like very very dark dense taste. Wonderful. Greg Garcia, shout out to him. Did we do that already? We did? Okay, then. All right.
Greg, hello. Hope you're drinking something wonderful. And if it is, it's probably our wine. But,
we hope.
Who's bragging? So, anyways, I hope you all are safe out there and starting to emerge. Santa Clara County is being very cautious. Probably one of the most cautious places on the planet. So, here, the way we operate, very safe. You can come in. You can make reservations online. That's pretty much the only way it's coming in. So we're happy to have people back to kind of look over the valley, watch the grapes as they ripen, experience the evolution of our vineyards. See the planting live. So what you saw today, you can come see live in person, and it's just a wonderful thing. This year is, a lot of transformation, a lot of projects that have happened. We're trying to make the best out of our situation. We're not, obviously it's not the year we planned, but, it's the year we have in front of us. And you know what? Make lemonade out of the lemons.
Exactly.
And we're still going to make fantastic wine, grow, fantastic, grapes. And they're going to come into the cellar here, in the next couple months. So we, I just want to point out that we have a safe environment to come up to and enjoy the wines. Kitchen's producing some beautiful foods. The pizzas that we do. Probably not going to get Jonathan up here on the weekends kicking out his Alsatian, delights, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get you to come down and showcase a little of that.
Or I can just teach Martine how to make those, and
All right. We could do that too. So
and we need you really back because we've been sort of like theorizing a little bit about why block 10 is the best block or a good block. Another theory I had is you all walking through there and sort of like look at the grapes, and I know many of you can't resist to touch them, so
little bit of mojo,
there, and so maybe that's it, and as they're getting ripe. Next time we're going to have a video. We're probably going to see some red grapes already, which is exciting.
Veration's close.
So come back and pet the grapes a little bit.
I just wanted to say that this is the safe place to be because when you sneeze here, the virus goes to Santa Cruz. We're in the outdoors where there's plenty of breeze, and it's the safest place you can be.
All right. Well, cheers to that in a very safe way.
Cheers, everybody.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. We'll probably be back in 2 weeks. And, stay safe until then. Safe and mighty. Look at that. Oh.